Hi, this is Haley Bernhard, and I am completing the Module 4 video explanation discussion. The graphic organizer that I chose for this assignment is a story map. You can see here that it has boxes for different components of a story, so character, setting, problem, how the characters tried to solve the problem, and solution, and also a space for the title and author of a story. This particular design is meant to be used as a tool to help students organize their thoughts and to determine the main components of a story. Theoretically, it could also be used as a tool for solving word problems in math, but I do think that this particular graphic organizer is best suited for mapping out a story. When using the story map, students should be able to fill in the spaces provided with the pertinent information from the story, and by using a map format in which certain story components lead into others, students can learn about the progression of a story and how to use details to determine important plot points. I selected this organizer because it is a fairly straightforward way to help students understand the main components of a story or a narrative, and I like that it would be easy for students to complete individually or as a group, and it would translate well to a board for a full class discussion. This particular design uses simple words and prompts to help the students fill in the boxes, which would be helpful for students completing this graphic organizer for the first time. This is an appropriate tool for an early childhood classroom for a few reasons. It helps students organize information in a dynamic way, which will help them to remember information. It also asks students to apply their cognitive skills of analysis by requiring them to break up a complex item into its component parts so that it's easier to understand. The tool will also help students understand the sequencing of a story, as well as the main components of a story, such as the character, setting, problem, solution, etc. If I was to use this graphic organizer in a class, I would definitely use it to teach a reading module. In a cooperative group setting, I would first introduce the concept of a story map by creating a larger drawn version on a chalkboard or a dry erase board. I would go over the different components of the map by discussing what each box represents and by reminding the students of vocabulary words and definitions for certain prompts, such as setting or solution. I would then read a story to the class as a whole, stopping as often as necessary to ask the students how we can fill in the story map when characters are introduced or when a setting is described, for example. And on the next day, I would separate the class into groups of 2 or 3 and give each group their own story map. I would read another story and have the students fill it out during and after the story. Afterwards, we would discuss everyone's maps as a whole, asking students to give their responses for certain points on the map and discussing why their answers are correct or would need improvement.